I meditate, I feel relaxed.
When I meditate, I feel ultimately relaxed.
I feel comfortable, safe, more peaceful.
When I meditate, I feel completely serene.
Like there's a soothing something inside me and God's connecting with me.
When I meditate, I feel ultimately relaxed, like no other time of the day.
I feel at one with myself and know that everything that I'm doing and thinking in that moment is right.
There are many forms of prayer. Contemplative prayer or meditation has a long tradition in the Church. The busyness and stress of contemporary life has led to a growing recognition of a need to find regular time for silence and stillness in order to maintain well-being. Pope Benedict suggests that Christians need certain periods of retreat into solitude to be recollected and in God's presence rediscover their path. We can probably all relate to the words, "There just isn't enough time." At a deeper level, however, we know that all time is sacred, containing unfathomable depth, filled with potential and creativity. Yet the many demands of life can obscure our awareness of the presence of God. Meditation is an accessible way to give time for the sacred, to allow the depth and significance of each moment to become a part of our life. The Gospels tell us that Jesus prayed in the silence of the night and that he went up into the hills to pray before dawn. His daily activity was closely bound up with prayer and flowed from it. The way of silent prayer was particularly taken up by the earliest Christians. They learnt to repeat a phrase from the Psalms as they did their daily tasks. In this way, they moved from saying words into silent contemplation.
Well, meditation isn't something new. It's also not something new age. We had desert fathers who were meditating many, many years ago. And I think if you draw on that too and know that this is something that has been part of the Christian tradition for probably time immemorial, we're just continuing that tradition. And we're also teaching the children then that they can be open with God. And a lot of them also talk about the fact that this is where their faith is. It is within them. And that's what we love, is that they can now articulate how they're feeling about being with God, but in our Catholic context too.
Well, it's always been part of the Christian tradition from the very start. The whole process of spending time in silence, and there's the gospel passages which show Jesus and the disciples doing exactly that. They go off to a quiet place by themselves, and then, of course, this continues on in the church tradition of the famous desert fathers and mothers, but then also the whole monastic tradition of recitation of psalms, which was the saying of mantras, effectively. So in Christian meditation, it is always in the context of Jesus Christ. Now, this doesn't mean that you necessarily focus upon Jesus automatically, but you may be being focused on the word which comes from the Christian tradition. Then you are led to the one who originates it.
And the question that they always pose is, how can I fit this into an already fully committed and busy life? The question is, this is an area that has been neglected, and so it's something to which you need to give some sort of priority. And as I've already said, it's the question of regularity, a regular time to seek for one's soul, a regular time to begin to immerse oneself in the values that belong to the spiritual world.
There is so much else in life that has to be done, but there's so much in life that can swamp us in the end, and unless we do develop a practice of putting aside a little time for ourselves, a little space for ourselves, to be in touch with ourselves and to be in touch with what is beyond us, God and so forth, we really will become swamped. So, take the opportunity to develop this as you're growing up.
You already know a lot of the stuff that particularly if you've been through a religious school, it's all there. But do you have the time to really recall it and act on it? And that's where I think the opportunity of meditation gives anybody the chance to think, well, I wonder what God would really want me to do in this situation, and what's the right thing to do. And if you stop and listen, you'll be guided through.
Perhaps our frantic way of life and the pressures of life and so on don't allow us to appreciate, because that's externalism. Has its value too. But going inside, then one appreciates the inner depths, which finally is the act of the finger of God at work there. And so it is this inner fountains of grace, if you like, or the living waters that spring up from within. And by becoming free, which meditation is an act of freedom, then if you like, the blockages are removed and this fountain of life can spring up.
That tradition's always been there like a river, all the way running through history. And this has been a wonderful thing to learn and to find that it really fits into a busy life because of the simplicity of it, and to be able to do that daily as well.
Prayer is God's work within us. As St. Paul says, the Spirit helps us in our weakness, for we do not know how to pray as we ought, but that very Spirit intercedes with sighs too deep for words.